Now in their second season, Leadership of the Leaf with more cigar knowledge and more leadership insights. Two great leaders smoking great cigars. Here's our host, Austin and Dice. Grab a drink and jump in with a cut and a light.
Hey, welcome everyone to another episode of Leadership of the Leaf. My name is Dice.
And I'm Austin.
All right. Austin, my friend.
Yes, sir.
Our show today, cigars. What are we doing?
We are going to do a deep dive on Maduros.
Oh, Maduro.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And then for the leadership, what do we got for leadership?
I didn't quite have a good title for it, so I just put swear words in the workplace.
Ooh.
As a leader, using swear words in the workplace.
Oh. Does swearing in the workplace make you less of a leader? Interesting. All right. I like it. That's a good topic. I'm excited for this, but first I gotta know, Dice. What are you smoking? Because this is a Maduro episode. It better be a damn good Maduro. That's all I gotta say. That's all I'm saying on the case.
I'm just gonna say I went all in.
You went all in. All in?
All in. So this is the world's only all Maduro cigar. That's their thing. It is a Camacho, which we like.
Ooh, I do love Camachos.
Triple Maduro.
Triple Maduro. Ooh, you did go all in, didn't you?
Wrapper, Mexican San Andreas Maduro. Binder, Mexican Corojo Maduro. Filler, Honduras, Dominican Republic, and Brazil Maduro.
Now, what Hennessy are you pairing that with? Because I know it's Hennessy, so I'm not even like, what concoction of Hennessy?
I'm just saying, one of these episodes, you're going to be shocked. One of them, you're going to be shocked. Just saying. But it's not this episode. I'm drinking XO, sir.
Yeah. One of these episodes, you're going to go, I'm not drinking Hennessy. I'm drinking some other cognac. Yeah, right.
Well, we both know that's not going to happen.
Or you're going to go, I'm drinking a beer. All right. Yeah, whatever. We both know that's not going to happen, Dice. I'm going to need you to calm yourself.
How about you, my friend?
All right.
I hope you picked a Maduro.
I did.
Okay.
I picked the Pistoff Kristoff. Why? I like the name. And the band is awesome, too. It's got a little anger face in the O.
That makes me laugh.
I'm pissed off. All right, so it is completely hand-rolled in the Dominican Republic using a jet black San Andreas Maduro wrapper. Underneath is an Indonesian binder and a bold concoction of Nicaraguan long filler tobaccos.
Indonesian, I like it.
Yep. And this had a closed foot on it. And so when I first lit, I got a real kind of boom peppery kick. It's got a pigtail cap. Which was just ugly. It was uglier than sin, that pigtail cap. Which kind of makes me laugh because I feel like that's why the cigar is pissed off. But that's all right. It's okay. It's the cold draw was good. Got some bittersweet chocolate, some maybe a little bit of like red wine. It's interesting, but it's spicy. Now I lit it, it's definitely spicy.
Well, if I remember like that, it's going to start off pissed off, right? So, yeah, closed foot or shaggy foot. Was it shaggy or closed? You said closed, right?
It was closed. I'll be honest. I had a little bit disappointed in this. I've had it in the humidor for probably a couple months. And when I pulled it out, it felt like the wrapper felt really dry, but I know my humidification is good. So I don't know what's going on there, but none of my other cigars are like that. I pulled out another one that was in the same drawer. It was fine. I don't know if it was just this cigar or what.
Well, we'll monitor as we smoke, sir.
Yes, we will.
So how would you characterize your cigar wrappers for Maduro?
Maduro. So when you characterize cigar wrappers, Maduro is usually the broadest and most inclusive of cigar wrappers, right?
Yeah.
So most people think Maduro means strong. Now that's incorrect. Maduro is just a Spanish adjective meaning ripe. And it's a wrapper that's not specific to any one country, region, strength level, or profile. So you gotta be careful on that one.
I did a little bit about the Maduro meaning ripe.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I was talking to some buddies, and they said Maduro, of course, is Spanish for ripe, referring to like fruit and everything. But then they said it also means aged, like mature.
Yeah.
So I like the fact that they call it Maduro because I'm guaranteed they pull it off the tobacco leaves when they're ripe, which gives the Maduro name. But I know they're aged.
They are. So usually a Maduro is made from only the highest leaves on the tobacco plant, and they spend the most time on the plant, so they become riper than any other, right?
Yeah.
Makes sense, because they're going to pull the shade wrappers, the light, creamy Connecticut type wrappers off the bottom and leave the Maduro ones up top. And years ago, that was the trend, right? It was all Connecticut wrappers, light cigars, light, creamy looking.
Even Candela, the green ones.
Yeah, that was the trend years ago. But then the market changed. Cigars that are usually marketed today as Maduros have like a dark brown, black, in some cases an odd purple black wrapper, kind of reminiscent of some like overly ripe eggplant.
Eggplant emoji right here.
And the leaves can come from any part of the plant, but it's definitely something to kind of take into consideration. I know we did a deep dive in Oscuros. If you haven't listened to that episode, go back, listen to it. Oscuro is really kind of just a sublet of Maduros.
Yeah, if I remember, Oscuro was more about how it's manufactured as opposed to the leaf and the aging. Right.
Yeah. And you know, some people kind of ask, you know, I've had people ask, well, what's the difference between a natural and a Maduro cigar? And usually naturals get that light brown or tan color. They're traditionally smoother and milder flavors. They get that nutty tones on the front end, and they kind of keep that all the way through the end. Whereas a Maduro is going to have an appearance similar to the color of dark roasted coffee. Maduro usually has a molasses, a coffee, chocolatey flavor, and tend to be more pronounced towards the nub end of the cigar.
Yeah, because it's burning the wrapper or whatever, which is pulling more of the flavor profile down the wrapper tube of your actual cigar that you're smoking.
Mm-hmm.
But before we go too much further, I have one problem.
What do you have?
We asked you what cigar you were smoking. We never asked what you was pairing it with. You was keeping it a secret.
You know, I was just so excited to jump in to the episode. My apologies to our listeners. I am pairing this with another Dominic Distillery Holding Station straight bourbon whiskey. Not the wheat whiskey that I had last week, but this one is a straight bourbon whiskey. It's very delicious. The pictures will be up on our Instagram at Leadershipoftheleaf. By all means, go check us out. Give us a shout and a like. But yeah, this one is very good. It's a little bit sweet. It's not as sweet as the other one, but I still get a little bit of hints of sweetness and stuff off of it.
All right. Well, the first one made an impact on you, so I see you purchased a different one of the same same name.
Yes.
Okay. Don't mess around and get stuck like I do.
No. Go look at my bar and tell me I'm stuck in one type of drink.
Yeah. Well, I am. So
I know. Not everyone can be perfect. Yeah, it's a time and labor intensive process. Usually it mellows and sweetens the cigar rather than making it stronger. So people will say Maduro, you smoke a Maduro, it's so strong. I've had a Maduro that was not as strong as the Connecticut I smoked right after it.
Well, it's it goes back to the age old, like a novice cigar smoker or whatever, beginning guys. They always say the darker the cigar, the stronger it is. That is a rule of thumb that everyone kind of plays by. Just like all cigars need to be in their humidor immediately, and all these crazy myths about cigars and everything. So I can see where that comes from. And there's a little saying at the end of our little Maduro thing that'll come into play, but not all Maduros. A lot of Maduros I have been sweet or chocolatey, or even tend to lean towards that espresso flavor. So not all Maduros are going to be like, oh my God, that is a strong cigar.
Right. Most Maduros are usually made from one or two of hardy tobacco varieties, Connecticut broadleaf or San Andreas Negro. You also see some Maduros made with a Brazilian wrapper and some made with Nicaraguan.
Yeah.
And they've been growing in popularity in recent years. But, like we talked about, dark wrappers can tend to scare off less seasoned smokers.
Well, I'm starting to see like a lot of cigar companies that come out with a Habano line, which is the natural color that most people see. In Connecticut is the lighter shade. But now I am seeing a sea of this dark brown that is appearing beside majority of all the cigars now. So you can go down the line and you can see it. So popularity, I can see it rising in popularity as a lot of these, especially some of the legacy brands, are starting to pull out Maduros now.
Yeah, and that's I think it's one of the biggest. I would say I don't want to say biggest, but one of the biggest growing brands, types, varieties of cigars. It's not a brand, but usually the Maduros have exhibited largely mellow, toasty, and often sweet flavors. Sometimes I've gotten there's I think it was Herrera Esteli creme. It tastes like a creme brulee in a cigar, and that's a Maduro cigar.
Yeah. That's just an amazing flavor to get out of a cigar. Flavor profile. Maybe I don't want to call them flavors because they might try to ban them again.
Yeah.
Perceived flavor.
Yeah. Tasting notes.
Yeah. There we go. That's a better way to say it.
But really, broadleaf kind of makes that an ideal Maduro because of its inherent darkness when cured and fermented, and it's thick. And the wrapper leaf is noticeably chunkier and more rugged than shade tobaccos. Like if you look at an undercrown shade, or a Connecticut shade undercrown, what's the Connecticut undercrown?
Connecticut shade 45.
It is undercrown shade.
Yeah.
Okay. I was thinking the right one. I said it right. Go me. That if you look at that wrapper is thin, right? It's
yes,
usually thin, silky, smooth. Whereas you go get an undercrown Maduro, that is a noticeably thicker wrapper leaf.
Correct, because of the wrapper leaf being like robust, it tends to burn a little slower. Depends on how all the cigar blender is doing it up, but they tend to burn a little slower.
Yeah. Before we go too much further, are you in your first third?
I can talk on it.
Go ahead and talk on it then.
I will talk on it.
You talk on
it. I will spit that hot knowledge, son.
Do it.
Well, first of all, it's burning pretty even. I'm getting a little canoey on the backside here. I don't have any wind, so it's going to have to be a flaw. I wouldn't call it a flaw because it's not bad. I'm just noticing it.
Yeah.
My first third is definitely start off with some spiciness. Pepper. I would say black pepper. A little cedary wood. And a very light floral undertone.
Nice. Okay. So I got pepper in that first couple a little bit, but I started getting some espresso and red wine, and that kind of molds that cut that spice down quite a bit. And then I got a lot of leather and earth, and I am it's leather right now. and like punching me in the mouth with leather. I taste a little bit of cedar on the back, and I feel like cedar's going to start coming to the forefront here pretty soon. But yeah, we'll see. I want to say I'm almost through my first third. Gonna start getting into my second third, but not quite there yet. But yeah, this is good. This is a good one. Good cigar. It pulled the switcheroo on me. I thought I was not gonna like this cigar after the first couple puffs. I was like, oof, this is gonna be a big one.
Well, when you said red wine, it made me think of sweetness. So is it like a sweet red wine, or is it more of a full body red wine?
It's like a full body red wine.
Okay.
Like if you were at a wine tasting where they were, primarily serving red wines, I would smoke this cigar and you'd probably be right at home.
Oh, all right.
It would complement the red wines like perfectly.
All right.
So back to the Maduros. So we know all cigar tobacco kind of goes through it does go through a curing and fermentation process. But it usually takes more time at higher temperatures to make a leaf as dark as those on Maduros. So as they cut off the leaves off the plant, and they cure them in a barn and turn them brown, Maduro wrappers are then put in bulks to ferment. These are called the pilons. The weight of the tobacco plus the moisture of the leaf causes a chemical change, in which impurities, namely the ammonia, come off the leaves, and heat is produced, turning starches into sugars. That's what sweetens the leaf. When the heat at the center of the bulk reaches the maximum allowed by the tobacco man, the bulk is taken apart, then rebuilt, and the process starts anew. Right? If any of our listeners have ever gone and baled hay, and you put wet hay in a barn, you will start a fire.
Oh yeah?
Guaranteed. It gets too hot and the hay starts to combust.
Did not know that. I had no idea.
Yep. It's the same, because it's the same thing. It's the same chemical process here, right? So you bind up a big old bale of wet grass, basically, right? And you bind it up really tight, and then you go and stack it on top of each other. And these are big old bales of hay, right? So they weigh quite a bit. So you got that heat, you got the pressure, and you got the wetness, and it starts to create heat, and then it'll start to combust as soon as it gets dry enough, and you can burn a barn down like that.
Wow. All right. I'll take your word for it.
The more you know. The more you know.
I do know, as they have them stacked as such, and they're trying to get all the ammonia and impurities and everything out. There's another chemical that is taken away from the tobacco leaf that some people might not know. That chemical, my friends, are nicotine.
It is the nicotine.
So that's taking away some of the nicotine for all you people that say are addictive. There you go. There's proof.
It does take away some of it. Doesn't take away all of it, but for most people, I think we could almost all agree that cigars are really not that addictive. Like if you go a week without smoking a cigar, you're not jonesing for a cigar and shaking like you would be, or you're not an asshole like you would be if you're coming off of a nicotine from like cigarettes or dip or snuff or whatever.
True. Correct.
So back in the day, people used to take a shortcut. There was a fast method of making a Maduro known as the cooking method. It's usually,
I was reading that. I was like, oh my God, I'm so glad. I'm sorry to cut you off. Yeah. It made me upset when I was reading. I was like, oh, are you serious? Yep.
So it was done using a setup reminiscent of a stovetop espresso coffee maker. Basically, if you picture one of those coffee makers with the coffee in the bottom, the steam comes up on the pot, on the tobacco on the inside, the vapor leaks in and adds color to the tobacco. So it's kind of almost like I think of like a French press.
I was thinking of like a percolator.
Yeah, percolator. That's better. There's another method, and that's dipping the tobacco in food coloring or dye. Or you put the dye on a sponge and you paint the tobacco. Thankfully, though, the process of painting and rushing Maduros to market was more prevalent during the cigar boom of the 90s than it is now. Now, you can get this tobacco. I think Perdomo is known for aging his tobacco at least like 3 years. There's some tobaccos that are aged longer than that. There's tobaccos that's been aged from 96 that are still just now making it to market. So, that's what, 20 years?
Yeah.
So
I just couldn't picture this practice being done today. But if they was doing this practice today, like, will we truly know? The only way we would know is when touring these factories or someone that works there.
Somebody would let it out.
Someone will let it out, right? So hopefully they never go back to these practices, because I feel it's really cheating the system and it's not giving me like the price of my cigar. So let's say I pay $15 for a cigar because it's Maduro, because I'm paying extra money, because it's aged and this whole process. And then come to find out, all they did was painted the leaves with coffee or something like that. And
they'd go out of business.
Yeah. So now I'm paying $15 for really a $5 stick, or is that what's going on?
Yeah, exactly. They go, and with today's, social media and everything else, nothing is secret anymore. There's very little that is secret anymore. Especially with a lot of cigar companies being like, "Hey, come tour our factory, come tour our farms, and see our processes and everything else." They would have to get all the distributors and the stores to go along with it, because a lot of these stores go tour these factories to learn how to market their cigars. That's what these cigar makers want them to do.
Yeah, could you imagine trying to market a cigar and be like, "Hey, this is a Maduro, but it's really a Candela that they dipped in this brown goop.
Yeah,
enjoy your smoke."
Yeah. Well, and I think a lot of people, especially those older and smoking cigars, would find out, they'd be like, "This doesn't taste right. Like, this doesn't taste the same as this other Maduro. It doesn't taste as good." And so they'd probably just go buy, even if they didn't know, they'd just go buy the other Maduro, and that company would not have a Maduro anymore. It wouldn't sell.
Yeah, I just don't see you marketing something as a Maduro and taking one of these shortcuts to get it done. Actual cigar aficionado or enthusiast or whatever we want to call ourselves that actually been smoking for more than 10 years would be like, "Yeah, I don't care what they say. That's not a fucking Maduro."
Right.
They can put whatever sticker they want on the package, but that's not a fucking Maduro.
Yeah, exactly. And then you just, again, most people wouldn't buy it. And so that company would either go out of business, or they'd have to reinvent themselves or take the Maduro off the market until they could come up with a good one. But most of today's Maduros are the product of a great deal of patience and know-how. It makes a good product. These cigar makers and the tobacco growers, they are responsible for the product that they put out, and they want to put out a good product. So, if you're sitting down tonight and you decide to light up a Maduro cigar, there's a good chance, just like ours, that its outer leaf was planted in the ground many years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, whatever. Because it's planted, it has to grow, then it has to be harvested, then it has to age in a barn and turn that dark color before it actually gets wrapped and then put into boxes and sold.
Yeah, I think with the average cigar, not even Maduro, just a regular Joe Schmo cigar, I think that takes at least about 3 to 5 years. That's just a regular, like, no fanciness cigar, period. So Maduro requires longer aging, longer everything, pretty much. So I can agree with you on that 100%.
Yeah, and I think, like I said, I think you'd be able to taste. Most customers are discerning enough to be able to taste the difference.
Like this Maduro tastes kind of like a shade.
Yeah, weird. So yeah, and just to point out, not all Maduros are strong, but some strong cigars may be Maduro. Depends on what the master blender and the company wants that cigar to taste like, wants it to be like.
Yeah, I add that at the end of the notes for that very specific reason, because the rule of thumb is dark cigars are strong. So that's not always true exactly how you read it, because if the cigar blender or manufacturer or whoever, if that's what they intended it to be, then yeah, it's going to be strong. It's going to be like knock your socks off. But if that's not what it's like this triple Maduro that I'm smoking now. Like when I bought it, Roger at the cigar outlet or whatever in Vegas, he said that, oh my God, you're gonna get that one? And yeah, I'm doing a Maduro episode, buddy. He was like, oh, okay. It's not. This thing isn't strong. I mean, it's a full body, but yeah, I've had some that I'm like, I'm not smoking the rest of that one. No, this is actually very decent, very well balanced, and it's actually kind of sweet.
Right, but then you look at, let's say, Ep06 The Pledge. That one knocked both of our socks off. We smoked that at different times, and we were like, oh my gosh, this thing is kicking my teeth in. Like, this thing is strong.
Yeah, what is it? The M81 blackened. Yeah. I smoked 2 of those already. on air. I smoked more than 2, but I smoked 2 on air, and yeah, those are some strong ass cigars.
Right, that's what they wanted it to be. They wanted it to be a strong cigar. These cigars, I don't get a lot of strength off this Pistoff Kristoff. Right now, I'm in my second third, and I'm getting leather and earth. That's it, leather and earth. A nice mellow cigar. It's not super sweet. I'm not really getting a whole lot of sweetness off this. I'm getting a lot of earthy leather. Leather is at the forefront of it, but I'm not getting a whole lot of like sweetness, and I'm not sitting here going, "Oh man, I am just struggling to like get this nicotine buzz off my head." Like, no, I'm enjoying the cigar.
So I guess we're in our second third. Is that what you're saying?
I thought it was a good transition, but way to fuck up. All right.
No, it's a great transition.
Ladies and gentlemen, dice.
Did I ruin it?
Yeah. Wholeheartedly.
So I'm still going to announce my second third since you did yours ever so elegantly.
I know, it was great. I had a smooth transition. It was beautiful. Dice fucked it up.
Well, considering your second third is so smooth, the way that you was describing it, mine is less spicy like wood tone, a little more leather, and it's definitely hitting up that dark chocolate. Love it.
All right. So that is a breakdown and a little bit of a deep dive on Maduros. So obviously, anytime you smoke that Maduro, you're gonna get a leaf that was planted many years ago, aged with care over many years, and just realize Maduro does not mean strong; it means ripe or aged. So just be aware of all that, and go pick yourself up a Maduro and give it a shot. And tell us what you think. Tell us what cigar you're smoking. What flavor notes you get out of it. Like I said, if you pick up the Ep06 The Pledge, I would be prepared for a stronger cigar. But if you pick up this Pistoff Kristoff or that Camacho Triple Maduro, you might get some sweetness or some leather or something else that's a little bit of a different flavor note than what you might be expecting. But I think we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about leadership and swearing in the workplace.
Oh yeah, that's a very exciting topic.
I'm excited.
All right. All right. Hey everyone. Thanks for listening to Leadership of the Leaf. I'm just letting you know, if you want to see what kind of cigars that myself, Dice,
and Austin,
what we're smoking on each episode, check out our Instagram on Leadership of the Leaf. All one word.
At Leadership of the Leaf. And please, leave us a comment. Send us a message with what other questions or what you guys are smoking on. Maybe you guys have some suggestions for us that we'd love to give it a shot.
At Leadership of the Leaf on Instagram.
What's up, listeners? This is Jay St. Pierre, your outdoor adventures expert. YouTube channel, A Jeep Come True. Thanks for letting us in the air, nice, quick, and brief. Now let's get back to Leadership of the Leaf.
And we are back with some more Leadership of the Leaf right now. Before we took a break, we did a deep dive into Maduro Cigars, the ripe and aged cigars, those lovely things that we love to smoke. Now,
Definitely.
we're going to transition to swear words in the workplace. Does swearing make you less of a leader?
It's going to be probably a little controversial, but we'll go through it. We can actually share our opinions throughout, but there was some research done in this, so
I'm excited.
leadership is not an accurate natural science, or in many ways it can be seen as an art. When applying this philosophy in the workplace language, it is not sufficient to interpret leadership responsibility as a reason to introduce a drastic code of conduct which bans swearing outright. The challenge is to master the art of knowing when to turn a blind eye to the norms of communication that do not confer to your own standards.
Right.
Now that was saying a lot. Let me dice dummy turn that up.
I'm down.
Okay, so if you decide to swear or do not decide to swear, it's not up to you as a leader to actually force feed your troops or your underlings or your subordinates into following your same exact example. There's other avenues in this that plays a part, down to education, culture, and just overall camaraderie.
Okay.
We'll get into that. So typically there's two types of swearing. There's social swearing and annoyance swearing. There's
annoyance
more.
swearing.
There's more, but those are the two that is going to be broken down specifically for the workplace. Make sense?
I'm down. I'm tracking. We got the social swearing, or I like to say, use conversationally in order to help define interpersonal relationships.
Correct. So like you and I, this podcast together, we swear, but it's not overly swearing. We're not just saying fuckity fuck for the fuck of it. It kind of flows into our casual conversation language.
Right. It's not swearing for swear's sakes. Like, it's not like the 12-year-olds that you played on like online games back in the day. Right? The dude saying like fuck every other word, and you're like, Jesus, how old are you?
I'm 13, bitch.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my gosh, do your parents know you talk like this?
Social swearing may signify membership of a social group, may signal or develop in-group solidarity.
Yeah.
Look, so I equate that to if you're in the kitchen of a restaurant and there's a bunch of chefs, they're going to use lingo that's geared towards chefs.
Right. Jargon, if you will.
Yes. So some of that jargon is going to play a part in their swearing, just like majority of the time maintenance. When you're around a bunch of maintenance crews, they're going to use certain swear words and description for different things. So that's part of the group. So if you come in and talk all angel soft in a mechanical world, you're going to get side-eyed. You're going to be like, you're not one of us.
Right. Yeah, you're gonna be that one person's like, get a load of this person over here, old church choir boy over here, motherfucker.
Right. Yeah. A lot of times it takes in the form of humor.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know? So it's part of it. If you're not getting the jibs and jabs of the group, then you're probably oust.
Yeah.
I think your group dynamics.
You're on the outside.
Yeah. Swearing identifies certain subgroups, as I was referring to, like the chefs or mechanics or whomever. Even within the subgroup, swearing would usually be contingent situation or scenarios. So if I'm talking like, hey, my daughter had today and I'm in the kitchen with the other chefs, I'm not going to say, man, my fucking daughter was in school. It's more going to gear towards like, hey, man, give me that fucking knife over there so I can cut this stuff up. And my daughter was recital and she did this and she did that. Man, you see them fucking beans over there? Woo woo. You know, however the conversation will go. I don't know. I'm not a chef. So I'm just saying that the swearing is more than likely is going to gear towards what the group is about.
Right, yeah. You're gonna be like pulling a steak off like, did you see this motherfucker? This shit's cooked perfectly.
Yeah. Yeah. But hey, Brandon, can you cook this shit like that? Nope. Nope.
Nope. Nope. You suck. Hey, choir boy, where you at?
Come look at the steak, motherfucker. Organization as a whole tends to have an identifiable culture, and a number of subcultures form spontaneously and informally. So it's not something that's just going to be like, hey, you and I, we're going to be part of this group. We can swear, but this other group isn't going to be able to. It's just going to like kind of become its own fruition over time as we become part of like a good old boy club.
Right. Yeah. And then you got, within a close-knit work group, swearing has been shown to often be used as a form of positive politeness.
Right.
Man, you good shit, man. You're a hard-working motherfucker.
Right. But it also tend to be in these groups is if there's a female involved. A lot of times these subgroups, they calm their swearing down depending on the people that's available. So if there's a female that enters the group, until she fits in with one of the guys or however, generally the swearing calms down or almost drops to nothing until over time when everyone feels more comfortable that she is actually part of the group. Not necessarily part of the guys, but part of the group.
Yeah, and I think that what that is that kind of goes back to that age-old, that gentleman's code. You never swear in front of a lady. And then, as time has progressed and we've become more accepting of women and male-dominated career fields, they I don't want to say have to get with the culture, but it has to be okayed and everyone has to be comfortable with swearing for it to be okay within that subgroup or that group.
I guess to put a spin on it that maybe others can, I don't know, whatever, I'm gonna spin it. So look at the rap game. When the rap game first started, there wasn't many female MCs. And when there was a female rapper in the group, she normally didn't rap like the guys do. Like the guys be like, I'm trying to get this girl and do this and do that and do this. Normally the female rapper wouldn't go that route. But if you fast forward to 2023, 2020, this time frame, you got like the Cardi B's out here that has a song that's called Wet Ass Pussy. Like 1980, 1980, you would never have that song by a female. There is no way. But nowadays, songs like this are on the air. They're edited for the radio play, but it's still the same context as there.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of those things that's, hey, you look at the time difference. You got like 40 years worth of time difference there, and culture evolves and changes, and you got to be able to change and go with the culture.
Well, that's exactly. It's hip hop is a subculture which had to accept the female role once they became part of the norm.
Yeah. So social swearing is covered. So what about that? Oh shit! Annoyance swearing.
Annoying swearing is more of a swearing. I equate annoying swearing. We'll go more into it, but simple. I equate annoying swearing to when you hit your thumb with a hammer. Fuck. Shit. Like you're just letting it out.
Right.
So that's it in a nutshell. Annoying swearing is a variety that is especially common in like the trading floors of the stock.
Right. There's a study done where people held their hands I don't know if it was an official study, but
That
people are holding,
studies.
they're holding their hands in buckets of ice water, right? And half the group was not allowed to swear, and the other half was allowed to swear as much as they want. And the group who was allowed to swear as much as they want lasted like 3 times longer in the ice water than the group that was not allowed to swear.
That is because annoyance swearing, which is what you're describing, provides a relief mechanism to release that stress and tension.
Would you look at that?
So
It's like I know some shit.
It kind of adds in there. Some people may disagree. We got churchy Joes out there that may disagree wholeheartedly from everything. Nobody should ever swear. We'll get to that.
All right.
So as stress level rise, social swearing tends to decrease, while annoyance swearing tends to increase. So if you're under the gun to get something done, a lot of the conversational swearing kind of goes out the window, but the annoyance swearing increases. So it's like shit. I got to get this thing done. Fuck, I got to get this done. Opposed to, hey man, you want to go to the bar tonight and drink some fucking shots or something? That kind of goes out the window, and it leads more towards the fuck, man, we on a deadline.
Right. Yeah. And so, as stress and tension goes up, annoyance swearing is valued because it replaces that primitive physical aggression. I mean, you still see, you at your house and you stub your toe and you like bang your fists on the counter like, that's that primitive physical aggression. But you in the workplace and your boss just decides to be a dick and drop a last minute task on you at Friday at 3 p.m. and he's like, hey, this is going to take me motherfucking 4 hours to get this shit done, man. Like, I need it done ASAP. Like, fuck, man. Fuck you, you piece of shit. Like, and you just go off and you do what you need to do. That helps replace the fact that you can't put your fist through a wall or kick your boss's ass or whatever.
Right. But with the annoying swearing, as a leader, when someone is in that situation, the deadline is done and you're down to the brass tacks, generally a team or whatever is going to be so focused on trying to get the mission or whatever accomplished, whatever the task is accomplished, that a lot of times the swearing and everything, all of it tends to stop. There is no swearing. There is no anything. That's mainly because everyone's concentrating or they're fully focused on what's going on. And as a leader, this is something that you should kind of pay attention to, because once you hit that level, it's almost like nirvana. Like, something is about to go down.
Yeah.
So either A, be worried, or A, be very happy.
Yeah, because either you're going to get a phenomenal product or you about to get nothing.
Right.
You about to get mugged in the parking lot is what you about to get.
Where you guys? Come back. You can swear.
Yeah.
You can swear.
So when it comes to men versus women, right? So men would tend to swear less in high stress workplaces when the annoyance swearing comes in, and conversely, the women would tend to swear more. This can be kind of explained as being compliant with accommodation theory, in which speakers tend to change their linguistic style to mirror that of the addressee, the person you're talking to, in order to gain approval.
This is like the monkey see, monkey do.
Right.
Women tend to. I don't want to do this whole man versus woman thing. Tend to do the opposite of what men do in these type situations. So the man would probably swear less, where the woman would pick up more of the swearing.
Yeah, it makes me wonder if men become focused on the task. And I'm not saying women aren't focused, but they're more social creatures than men are, right? So it makes me wonder if they tend to swear more because they're trying to become more part of the group, and feel more included because that's what they need to be able to feel secure, versus men are just we don't care.
Yeah, this sucks. Fuck it, whatever. We're gonna do it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we shared those two examples, those two different types of swearing. Now, of course, I want to make sure this is said. Of course, any abusive or offensive swearing should be eliminated in any organizational context. Now, saying that, like, if I was just calling you a bitch every day, just for no reason, it's not in context of whatever we're doing. It has nothing to do with anything. I called you it so much you think that's your name. That's not cool. That doesn't work.
That's bullying.
A form of bullying.
Right. So there's a fine line. So there's a fine line to me in any organization where you're cursing about the let's say the situation or the problem versus you're cursing about somebody.
Correct.
And when you start getting into cursing about somebody, that's when you're starting to cross that line.
Yeah, it creates greater levels of stress. Rather than helping to dissipate the problem, you're actually elevating the situation as being more of an annoyance and more of a downer.
Yeah, and especially if an employee feels that they've been the subject of a strongly worded offensive outburst by their supervisor, which belittles their conduct or their capability, they're not going to be motivated. They're gonna be demotivated. They're gonna be like, you know what? Fuck this job. Fuck this boss. Fuck this job. I'm done. I'm out. And then you start getting either quiet quitting or or somebody's looking for another job and you just don't know it.
That actually happened to me when I was very young. I was about 18. There was like 4 supervisors. They all had to do the same task, and I was just a gopher. One of them just laid into me for no reason. There probably was a reason. I was young. I don't fucking know. But one of them laid into me, and I just didn't like it. He belittled me. He made me feel like I wasn't even useful, like this whole thing. And yes, I was demotivated. I quit. I was like, whatever. I'm just out here. I'm not even helping anymore. And then one of the other supervisors came over and was like, look, man, you're a great guy. You do this, you do that. You're wonderful. Don't let this one guy spoil you, whatever. Let's go ahead and get back on our horse and whatever. I remember, it was so long ago. But because of that, I went through each of those levels pretty quickly. Like, I'm demotivated. I don't care. To, okay, I'm one of the best ever. Let's make this happen.
Yeah. Well, and that's, there's I'm sure if that second supervisor that you had, if he came over and was like, hey man, fuck that guy, you're the shit, like whatever. That's a different type of swearing. That's that social swearing, not like saying, hey, don't worry about what the fuck he's got to say. Listen to this because you're awesome and you're the shit. But in some extreme cases, that employee may interpret the outburst as dismissal. They could bring lawsuit against the organization. And that's exactly what you don't want. And that's why a lot of people will just say, hey, there's no swearing allowed at all, because a lot of people can't. Everybody's line is in a different place when it comes to swearing and what they can tolerate.
Yeah, I put an example of that lawsuit on here. In one case, a manager described his personal assistant to her face as being an intolerable bitch on Monday morning. Now, the personal assistant immediately resigned, sued, and she won. Yeah,
that is belittling somebody. That's not social swearing. That's not like, hey, that's like asking, is it your time of the month? No, that's fucking rude. Like, that's uncalled for. You didn't even swear. You're just attacking that person for no damn reason. But, and there's those people that are like, don't fucking talk to me until I've had my coffee. Fine,
Guilty.
Whatever. Yeah, hey, got it. But if you're just like, come in and you're like, hey, every Monday you're a fucking bitch. Like, that person's good. Every Monday?
Oh man.
Yeah, So, and that's why there's usually those policies. Like, if you choose to create a policy about profanity, be prepared to consistently enforce that the disciplinary process that you put in place. If you don't consistently enforce the policies and make them toothless, it makes them toothless, and inconsistency in discipline can leave you open to claims of discrimination. So if you say, hey, man, fuck this is stupid, we're not cursing anymore, and then Dice comes in the next day and is like, yeah, that fucking bitch from last night, man, and you don't say anything about that, but then I come in and I'm like, man, fuck this, like, this task sucks, and then I get in trouble, I'm a discrimination lawsuit. Boom, right there.
Correct. That, I mean, I put that in here for this, but I mean, that goes for almost anything. You got to be consistent with all your rules and regulations anyway.
And we've talked about that.
You can't pick and choose. Yeah.
Yeah.
Favoritism.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
That's what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
Right. So in the workplace, leadership's in the workplace, swearing. It depends on who is swearing, why, what words are used, and who hears them. If the boss swears for any reason, others feel entitled to let their language fly. So if you're King Koopa of the whole group, all your Koopalings are going to follow. Like, yeah, fuck this shit. Yeah, fuck this. Yeah.
Right. It's like if you come in late from lunch and you take an hour and a half lunch, but you expect your employees to take a 30-minute lunch, they're going to sit there and be like, nah, the boss takes an hour and a half. I'm going to take an hour and a half too.
It depends on your coworkers. Like maybe Churchy Joe over there doesn't like swearing, but you go over there and you call him a fuckboy or something. I don't know. It could intensify a conflict, and then you could have a dissension amongst your troops, fighting amongst your team. You don't want that. So there's another aspect of leadership that you have to pay attention to.
Yeah, if you work in customer service, God forbid you swear in front of a customer, because that could be a bad reflection on the employee, and not to mention the employee, but the company itself.
Yeah, customer service, or maybe you're maybe you're a rep for a big wig company or something, and then you're trying to get this client, and then you let a swear word out. I mean, well before your client even decides to swear. Maybe he's a Churchy Joe and you don't know, and you using swear words. Then now you not only you like be, what am I trying to say? No.
Alienate.
You alienate, and you're kind of ruining your company's reputation.
Yeah,
because you're the representation for that company to start with, and now you're just cursing like a sailor.
Right, exactly. And it's difficult for chronic cursors who swear for no particular reason and don't know any adjective other than variations of fuck. And they're usually no fun to work with. You know, those people are like, yeah, fuck this, that fucking piece of fuck, like fuck, fuckity fuck. Like,
we've worked with people like that before. They just seem so negative.
Yeah, they're very negative. They're no fun to work with. Even if I curse and I'm okay with cursing, like if you just sit there and say the fuck, like fuck this, fuck that, fuck, like I'm just gonna be like, dude, seriously, you can't. To me, it makes me question their intelligence. Like, you seriously don't know any other word? You can't think of another word to say other than fuck, or some variation of?
Right. In a leadership role, when you're speaking and you're off the cuff, and sometimes the cuss words or something may come out, you got to understand some people may not perceive it the way you're intended. They could take your language as being racist, sexist, classist, discriminatory. Even if you don't mean it that direction, just throwing around slang can alienate employees and create an environment that are less than ideal. That's as a leadership role.
Yeah, and that's obviously not what you want. Like, you know, I'm not a touchy-feely type leader by any stretch of the imagination. But I don't ever want to alienate an employee and make them feel like they can't come to me. If I'm over here going, yeah, so, you know, we got to fucking do this, and now this thing is fucked, and we got to figure this shit out. And I got a bunch of Churchy Joes that I don't know because I'm just new to the place. now I've just alienated them, and they don't want to come talk to me about anything because they're like, man, all he's going to do is just curse. And I feel like he's cursing at me.
Well, even if you're one of the leaders, I don't give a fuck. This is the way I am, and that's the way I'm going to be. I mean, foul language can create a workplace culture that moves beyond accepting and fun to a sloppy and disrespectful place.
Yeah. And it's just not a good thing. I'm not saying that, leaders can't curse. Not saying that at all. There's an example of Inc. magazine. Jack was a prototypical Fortune 500 plant manager. He was polished, professional, buttoned up, and manages a plant that manufactured books. There happened to be a small error where several words were obscured on one page at one point. And so that doesn't sound like a huge deal, but more than 100,000 books were bound and boxed before the mistake was actually even noticed. So scrapping and rerunning that would have resulted in a $200,000 spoilage. That's a lot of money for a company.
Yeah.
So repairing them, while extremely labor intensive, but the most cost effective, so that's what they do, obviously. Late one night, the crews were fixing the books, and Jack made a rare visit to the shop floor. He gathered everyone around and said all the right things, right? He's professional, conventional, expected, frankly, boring things. Things about the importance of quality, focus, attention to detail. Hey guys, we got to do this right. Finally, he droned to a close and just said, hey, to finish up, I want to thank each and every one of you for working late. We're going to form a team. We're going to perform a root cause analysis and implement a solution to something like this doesn't ever happen again. So obviously, if you say that and a leader says that, they're like, yeah, all right, whatever. You roll your eyes, right? So he looked away, and everyone thought he was done and started to go back to their tables to finish their work. But then he spun back around and faced the employees, and his eyes narrowed and said, "We will make damn sure." So he's sounding deep, harsh, angry, and resolute that something like this never fucking happens again. You know that feeling that you get when somebody like, oh, ooh.
Yeah.
All right. That tingle of electricity that surges through your body. That's what he did. He was polished. Nobody expected him to curse. Yeah. But you can kind of tell, like, man, this dude's serious. Like, ooh, buddy. Like, somebody's going to get wrecked. All right, cool. That's acceptable, right? It doesn't make that guy, Jack, any less of a leader. I don't want to say, I'd almost argue that it makes him more of a leader. Because his employees knew, hey, they know, boom, this is never going to happen again because this is stupid. And I guarantee all those workers who were working late, like, yeah, dude, whatever, Tiger team, yeah, got it. We're going to make a team so it never happens again, whatever. And then he spun back around and said that, I'd be like, all right, maybe this won't ever happen again.
Yeah, almost like a shock and awe factor. Like, yeah, it's the same boring rhetoric that we've been getting time and time. Wait, what did he say? Did he just say we're not fucking do this again? What? Yeah. So I can imagine the excitement of the team. Like, like your NBA team made a 3-pointer to pull themselves back in the lead or something. Like, oh my, okay, I believe this guy.
Yeah.
Like, I was rolling my eyes before. I was like, yeah, whatever. But now that he did that with a harsh tone and expressed it that way, I can see it. I'm on board. I got this. Let's finish these books tonight, guys.
Yeah, I'm about it. He didn't curse at anybody. He just, hey, this never happens a fucking again.
Yeah, like, he let the people know that this is some bullshit. Pretty much.
Yeah, he was just as mad as we're. All right, the boss is just as mad as we are. All right, cool. Like, let's do this. I'm about it now.
There's another example that that during the research of this for us, the Harvard Business Review, I found an example of leadership using cursing, using a curse word, a swear word. The BP oil spill, remember that?
Oh, yeah.
I was on the Gulf. Yeah.
I was on the Gulf.
Yeah, so was I. We was there.
Yeah. Many people lost money.
and food.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, seafood. BP oil spill was devastated the Gulf of Mexico. The oil company market plummeted in value. It created lingering problems for the Obama administration, which has been criticized for responding too severely with forcefulness or authenticity, which means that he pretty much came in like Jack. Same rhetoric, I roll here, I roll there. The spill also provided interesting historical footnote. During an interview with NBC's Today Show, Obama declared that one of his goals during the meetings of the crisis had been to determine whose ass to kick. As profanities go, I know ass is pretty mild, but having a president utter words like this definitely wasn't a slip. It appeared deliberate. The strategy used to profane language to try to show that he's angry and try to have a better connection with the American people.
Yeah, because I mean, at the time, being on the Gulf and living through that and seeing my neighbors lose jobs, lose hours, lose money, food, everything, it was hard. The Gulf Coast thrives on tourism, and nobody came for that tourist season. And so that angered a lot of people, man. They're like, man, this oil company, fuck them. I can't believe they pulled this shit. So to have a president go, I need to know whose ass to kick. Like, yeah, fuck those guys. Yeah,
that's what we wanted to hear.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Not all this other legal jibber jabber. Who ass to kick? I understand that word. Ass.
Yeah, got it. Yeah. Rump.
So, I mean, those two leaders that use swearing, but they didn't use swearing as in calling someone out of their name. They didn't use it really like ill. They get strongly explanation of getting their points across.
Right, but notice both in both examples, these are people who didn't curse on the regular, who suddenly came out and said a curse word or two to get their point across and to let you know they felt the same way that you feel. Boom. Fuck them. I'm going to make sure this never happens fucking again. Hey, I need to know whose ass to kick. Yeah, all right, got it. It wasn't President Obama going, man, these motherfuckers, I'm so fucking tired of their fucking bullshit. Da-da-da-da. Like, no, he was like, hey, I need to know whose ass to kick. I'm about done with this. Like, ooh, all right, President, all right. We got you. I'm right there with you.
This whole thing, right? Social, annoyance, swearing, solidarity, being part of subcultures, the groups, and everything. I don't know what you got from all of it, but I'm going to share what I put at the end. At the end, at the front, at the end of the day, as being in a leadership position, it's best to watch what you say.
Yeah. So from my perspective, having been in leadership roles and again, in different cultures, throughout my tenure, there's times where I have cursed where I'm like, oh, fuck them. This is bullshit. And I will, I can curse with the best of them. It's usually better when I don't curse because there's a lot of times where my people will fly off the handle and employees will tend to fly off the handle and they're out for blood. And you got to be the calm head in the room. You can't be the calm head in the room, or at least project the calm head in the room, by sitting there cursing it up with your fellow employees. You just can't do it. It's impossible. You can't be like, hey guys, I know we're fucking pissed, but we can't fucking lose our cool here. All right? Like, that just shows that you're just as upset and you're just as irate as the employees. And you got to project a sense of calm so you can get the job done. It's usually better for leaders to watch what they say and not measure their words versus, leading, reacting with emotion.
Correct.
So I would 100% agree. I don't think cursing makes you less of a leader if you know when to use curse words.
Correct. As a leader myself, whenever I would, let's say, go in the trenches with the lowest of the subordinates, I'm in the trenches with them because I want to spend time, get to know the people or whatever. Yes, I will tend to mirror their language, as we spoke about earlier. I will mirror their language of what's going on. But as soon as I'm in the trenches, it's back to normal operations, to where I'm going to be that button-up guy that's going to be the calm, cool head.
Right.
Because I don't be Angel Joe that everyone's going to side-eye. I'm one of the boys too when I'm in the trenches, but when I'm not in the trenches, you got to understand I'm not one of the boys.
Right, and I've done that with my guys. I've led a team. I've led teams and hundreds and thousands of people, and when I'm down in the trenches, I go right back to, hey, I'm back as an employee. I'm just good old Austin, back doing whatever I need to do. But then as soon as I get around where I need to be a leader, I cut that crap out. I start, hey guys, I understand we're all frustrated, but this is not the right time and the place to do this sort of stuff. So we got to make sure we're watching what we're doing. All right, sure thing. But you were just as upset as we were. Right, I am. But notice that I'm not flying off the handle like you guys are.
Yeah, you got to set the example, being a leader, and again, there's a time and a place, and as a leader, you measure your words, as you said.
Absolutely. Speaking of measure, I'm in my last third.
Is that how you measure that, sir?
You don't want to know how I measure this.
What's your final third? I see you were definitely in your final third.
Yeah, I am in my final third. I am thoroughly enjoying this cigar. Still getting some earth. Whew. I'm having to nub it. It's hot. It's turned sweet. Chocolate and red wine.
Yeah, that's how you finishing it?
All
right. Well, mine is still sweet. It's got that spicy wood is coming back, but definitely some dark chocolate. Abundance of dark chocolate, and it's very smooth. I like it. It's definitely moved towards the fuller body near the end. Of course, naturally, I would expect nothing less. But yeah, this is a win.
Yeah, no, this is very good. I read a couple of reviews on this, and they were saying that the strength was pretty high. I don't get a whole lot of strength. Like, I'm not buzzed. I'm not over here like, I don't. The flavor's good. Yeah, chocolate, red wine, earthy notes. If I had to do a strength, I would probably put this as like maybe a 6 or a 7. Right, but it's good. It's good. Box worthy. You know what? I would probably buy a box of this. I'm not upset about this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely 5-pack worthy. The only thing that makes me sad about this is I only got one. I know I broke my own rule. I only got one, but I am thrilled. Actually, I am pleasantly surprised by this cigar. I expected a lot of more spice, and after the first initial peppery spice, that kind of melted away, and I just got earth and leather, and now in the last couple of inches, I'm down to sweetness. It's good. It's very, very good. Pairing well with this whiskey that I have.
Yeah, I'm so glad I chose XO. I do know when I puff on this aggressively, it's a little. I would say it would give it more of a power, more of a kick. But as I slowed down, because I've been playing with my puffs, as I slowed down with the puffs, it has more of a floral background, which makes it a little more mellow. It's not as stout. Box worthy, 100% box worthy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't even say single or 5-pack. I would definitely buy a box of these. It works well. I did look up the rating in Cigar Aficionado, and it got like an 88. I'll probably put it a little higher than 88 in my opinion. I would say the strength, I would put it around a 5 or 6 like you did yours. But yeah, box worthy for sure.
Yeah. I think this one rated as a 86 according to Holtz.com. Rated as an 86. I would probably put that closer to 90. I'd still be the 80s, but the 90, closer to the 90 mark. The burn line was not perfect. I did have to touch it up here and there. That could be due to some dryness issues that I'm going to look into. But yeah, I think this is box worthy. I'd be closer to the high 80s, low 90s area.
Yeah. I didn't have any burning. That canoeing, it fixed itself up. I didn't have to touch up or anything. So, yeah. Overall, good show, good content, good cigars.
Yeah. Talking about the swearing in the workplace and then doing the deep dive in Maduros. I do love me a good Maduro. This whiskey that I paired it with has paired wonderfully with it. And I have enjoyed this cigar quite thoroughly. I had to pull out my nubber, my little poker, because the end was getting really hot for my fingers. So I was burning one of the ends of my fingers off as I was pulling my little nub out, my little nub stick out, just because I was like, man, this thing's getting hot. But it's very good.
I'm just going to point out, great leaders smoke great cigars.
That they do. Until next time, I'm Austin.
And I'm Dice.
We'll catch you guys on the next episode.
Thank you for listening to Leadership of the Leaf. The comments and opinions expressed by the host and guests does not reflect the opinions of those that broadcast this show, nor does it reflect any of our affiliates.